the fire you've been dancing around. All we hear is the sound of retreating. No one cares where you're coming from. My ears are still ringing and bleeding. I guess we all knew from the start. These are the days my heart goes numb. Yeah, one of these days will be the one. We're looking for answers. Oh, what a disaster. These are the days my heart goes numb. My heart goes numb. Breathing the fumes of the ashes, the spirits light up the night, looking down the edge of forever. So stop me and take my advice.
Now, from the Untold Radio Network, it's Untold Radio AM with Doug and Alex Hajicek.
Hey, we appeared magically at the exact same time.
That was perfect.
What the hell is going on?
I know. Something going right for once.
I'm gonna have to go to bed. Oh, I haven't gone to bed yet. You know, I haven't gotten to bed. It's been I didn't go to bed last night.
What was
I
that?
didn't. Huh?
Too excited for tonight?
No, I mean there's everything. Tons of work to do. So anyhow, I feel good though.
That's
I
good.
feel a little slap happy. I got just totally into one of those laughing fits with Joe today.
Oh, yeah.
We're in a meeting and just we couldn't stop breathing. Everything he said just cracked me up. So anyhow, it was funny. In fact, he's gonna swing by at the end of the show. He's gonna tell a kind of an insider story on Legend Meet Science 1. Something really weird that, well, it was tragic, scary that happened to both of us at the very end of LMS 1. Things don't always go smooth.
No,
So anyhow, welcome everybody. What's episode 141? Thank you for all the congratulations and thank to you for all the support for Legend Meet Science 2. We did it, right? We made goal.
We did it.
So thank you to Alex. Thank you everybody. And I've already started arranging shoots. It looks like we already have a shoot. And we got people coming in from Chicago, from North Carolina, from Utah, to actually to Minneapolis for some science. It's going to be a really amazing, some science experiments. So be very cool. But yeah, it's complicated, coordinating all these professionals, to find a day that works for everybody or a week or whatever. It's tough. It's tough.
Yeah, it is tough.
So are you out of it today? Are you?
I'm into it.
You're into it? Okay. All right. So we have a guest, Thomas Sewid's on tonight. And I'm not going to let Thomas just do the takeover and do the stuff he does on all the other podcasts. We're going to try to dig into him a little bit tonight. Get some new information out of Thomas. He's amazing. Have you ever seen him? Have you ever seen it? No, you haven't? Okay. Well, I'm sure many people have. But he's a historian, wildlife expert, Bigfoot researcher, Bigfoot experiencer. He's involved in tourism, for British Columbia in school. For a while there, he had two. I was confused on his two cell phone numbers. I was like, well, which one's right? He's like, well, this one, I'm going to be in the U.S. today, so this is the one today. And tomorrow, I'm going to be in Canada. You got to use this one tomorrow. Yeah, you figured it out, right?
Of course I did.
the dual cell phones. Okay. Anyhow. So what else we got here? So I often, build things, and I'm going to be building quite a few things for Legend Meet Science too. But I do a lot of restoration too. It's kind of in my blood, to get an antique. It's more of a relaxation thing. And I don't do that all day, but I'll just take an hour and say, hey, I'm going to work on this, right? Every time I lose a screw, I'll unscrew a screw. I'll have it just about out onto the table or into my tray. Boom, it drops on the floor.
Gone.
And I never, ever can find it. It just goes into the glitch. And I don't know. I look and look. I'll take a flashlight, get on my hands and knees. You can just never find it. So that happened to me last night, right? So it's like same old. Wasted 10 minutes looking for it. Can't find it. Go dig in I have this bin. It's full of every kind of nuts and bolts you can imagine. Metric, SAE, and I'm digging in there. And I find one that will work for this one application. And it slips out of my fingers and it drops again.
Oh,
I
no.
lost that one. And I was like, no. Oh, it's just so frustrating. It's like, and you would think a guy my age, you do the same screw up every single day, every time. You think you would learn from your mistakes. I'd put a neodyme magnet on my screwdriver or do something, to prevent this. And I don't. So I don't. What's worse is my father used to restore too.
He did.
And I sent you a picture of him. I think people might get a kick out of seeing my dad, your grandfather.
Yeah, for whatever reason, the picture didn't come through.
What do you mean didn't come through? What do you mean didn't come through?
Well, you can't see it.
What do you mean didn't come through?
Oh, did you emailed me, right?
I emailed it. I sent it in Messenger.
Let me check Messenger.
Yeah, people would like to see it. Anyhow, so Pops he restored a lot of cars like Jags, Healey's, British cars, Mayflowers, anything with British. He loved doing British cars. And he got to be kind of a name where people would bring their cars to him for restore, Alex. And I can't find the screw. He would always end up with a box of extra parts.
Oh, of
Imagine
course.
take a car completely apart, repaint everything, sandblast, rebuild the engine, and then you would put it back together. He'd always have an extra box of parts. And even at a young kid, I saw the humor in it. Because it's funny. It's like, well, how did the car run without this crap? And he didn't, you just don't know what you don't understand. Well, where's this spring? It wasn't like a major component, but it'd be a spring here and a bolt here and a cable here. The cars ran perfect. He'd test everything and it'd be great. So that was my dad and Alex's grand. You see the similarity between Alex? I do. I see some.
I say between
Blaine,
you two.
but your brother Blaine is crazy.
Yeah, I can see it.
He really looks like. I look at Blaine now and I'm like, oh my God, it's my dad. That's funny. It's funny how genetics work.
We've got to stand up straight next to him.
Huh? What do you mean?
Because he's your dad.
Oh yeah. Oh, I love my dad. I miss him. He's a great man. Anyhow, so did you hear about this ultra low frequency that they're recording? It's in the very upper reaches, like 70,000 feet, and they're recording these infrasound, like pulse sequences that are happening every few times an hour. They have no idea where they're coming from. None.
No, I haven't heard of that. Is this new?
It was on the front page of the Google or whatever, today or yesterday. Thought it was interesting.
So do they think it's like some life form, or?
I don't know. Who knows? The religious people say, well, they're the trumpets, And the alien people say, well, they're alien ships that are coming and going. And they might all be right. Scientists think that it's some other phenomenon, but they're doing this with balloons. They're sending balloons up. I sound weak today, don't I? No sleep, don't I?
I think you sound as powerful as ever.
Oh, really? Oh, okay. Then I got to stay up. Oh, I got a ton of work to do, and I got to be up at 6 in the morning, too. No, I got to leave by 6 tomorrow for meetings.
Well, this show will energize you.
So I'm going to have to try to get an hour or two tonight.
Yeah.
So hopefully they figure out these infrasounds, and infrasounds are associated with Bigfoot, and it's one of the things we're doing in June is to try to solve some of the mysteries with infrasound. Get people's light bulbs to go off, get them educated, do a whole bunch of different scientific testing. It should be really interesting. I seem to be kind of excited about the sound stuff.
The sound stuff is cool.
It is. I think it is. Okay, have you ever heard of xenobots? It's another thing I read about. Xenobots.
I may have this morning.
You little, I was going to say SHIT, you little.
No, I until this point, I had no idea.
Oh, okay. So did you read the description I sent you?
Yes.
Self-replicating little robot things that are single cell, double cell, triple cell. They're really cool, but it's scary. I mean, it's really scary.
Yeah.
I mean, they're making these synthetic little breeding robots that breed.
That they can like program.
Yeah, almost. They can program them. Yeah. So xenobots apparently is named after the African clawed frog, Xenopus laevis.
Oh, I was thinking of the alien in the movie Aliens. It's a xenomorph.
Oh, okay. Well, Xenos
kills all of humanity.
It's a cool sounding name.
It's not ominous.
But they take these little different biological tissues, right? And they take whatever. What are these things? They're 0.04 inches wide. And they're composed of just skin cells and heart muscle cells. But the fact that they can multiply is what's scary to me. That's weird.
Super
weird.
Scary.
Yeah. And did you, by any chance, load the footage that I sent you?
Yes. The clips?
You did. Do you want to? Do you want to show the xenobots? That one. Okay. Everybody scold Alex.
Hold on. What?
I sent you a link entitled Video 1 on xenobots reproducing.
Yeah, of course I have it.
You do? You don't.
No,
You're just looking up something on YouTube right now.
No.
I think you had no sleep.
I don't. What is going on?
It's all right. You're off in your own little. That's fine. We don't need it. We don't need it. People can.
We do need it.
We do. Why?
Because it's going to drive me insane.
Don't worry about it. I sent you a link, and you claim you didn't get it.
I got.
No, don't worry about it. We gotta move on.
Oh, wait! I got it.
Oh. Okay. Just a couple of seconds.
First living robots. That's right. These micro machines are in fact brand new programmable life forms that researchers believe could help clean microplastics from our oceans or even repair organs.
We're probably going to get flagged just by having her talk.
Yeah, no, that's fine. We don't need it. We don't need her talking. What's weird to me is they make a big deal out of this, but they really don't do anything at this point. They spin in circles. You know what I mean? They're dumb robots at this point. They're not very bright.
They're super dumb.
Yeah, they're dumb. And they don't say that. I think they're dumb. Doesn't mean they're not going to get smarter. So yesterday I had, you get those warnings heat warnings, pollen warnings. You talk about like, oh my God, what wimps we've become. I literally got a worm warning. I swear to God. On my phone, a worm warning.
Worm warning.
Worm warning. Apparently worms were coming out of the ground, going on the roads, right, in the southern part of the state. And there was a driving hazard, a walking hazard, because they're slippery. What are you doing? Oh my God! I need a new host tonight.
You said like a worm warning, and you looked at me like, "Where's the worm picture?"
No, that's like way. I'm getting to that.
Okay, not quick enough.
Oh
Too
my
quick
God!
on the draw.
Oh my God! He definitely needs donuts tonight.
That's
Okay, that's fine. You just ruined one of mine. That's fine.
It's okay. Dean wants to host.
I still love you.
He wants my spot. That's why I'm nervous.
Okay. So it made me think about worms and worm trivia. How interesting. So let's just jump right to that one. The giant Gippsland earthworm. It's the longest in the world. It gets up to 9.8 feet long. And it looks just like a regular earthworm or a nightcrawler. Isn't that creepy?
Yeah, it looks like something.
Can you imagine the sunfish you could catch? Yeah, it is hard to believe, yeah.
You can catch 12 at a time.
Yep, imagine having those things in your yard. So I say worm warning and you think of that picture. Oh my God.
Well, I mean, if you saw one of these, you might ring the bell.
My God. But there's 6,000 different earthworms, different types, species.
6,000?
Yeah, 6,000. Did you know I once drove 500 miles to do a story on a man who raised earthworms?
What was his name, Earthworm?
I don't remember. Yeah, he was like this guy that would raise these worms, and they were like pets to him. I don't know.
They were
a lot of years ago.
Pet worms?
I did a news feature on the guy. It's for the news.
Did he name them all?
I don't remember. But it did get me interested in worms.
Yeah.
It did. The worms are interesting.
They are.
Did you know they don't have eyes? They just see light, like those moles we talked about the other day. Did you know worms can regenerate if you cut them in half?
Did you know they have 5 hearts?
But you would never want to do what?
Did you know they have 5 hearts?
Yes, I did actually. You're such oh my God, I created a monster. Yes, and if you cut them, you got to cut them right below, or right in front of that. It's called the. It's kind of the clitella. That's their group of hearts, and they're in that kind of a band on worms. Did you know the average lifespan of a worm is only 2 years? But they can live
up to 8.
Oh my God. Okay, so let me say what happened. Okay, so I didn't think I was going to make it back tonight on time. I figured I might be late, half hour. So I sent Alex some of my notes. And I told him, don't read the notes. But he lied and he cheated and he read all my notes. Oh my God.
So now I know all your secrets.
You know all my secrets. Oh my God. Yep.
All right. I'll pretend like I don't know.
No. Don't pretend. No. Actually, you know, the worm trivia is really not that interesting. Charles Darwin studied them for 38 years, worms.
Yeah. Did you know they don't like salt?
Yeah, I didn't put that one in my notes, did I?
No, but John knows all about salt.
Oh, John. Is he in there? I haven't read the guy.
Yeah.
They don't like salt. No, why would they like salt? So they have a lot of hair. You know, a lot of people get freaked out when they touch a nightcrawler because they have these bristle things. I think you're one of those people that doesn't like to touch nightcrawlers. Am I correct?
Yeah. Okay.
It's because of the hair. And they are called setae. Yeah. Helps them move through the soil. All right, enough of that crap. Enough of that. Enough on worms. Throw the worm thing. Just throw it away.
And then just a heads up, Tom's in the back room.
Oh,
Obviously,
great.
we got a lot of stuff to cover, but
Okay, what time is it? Okay, we'll bring him on in 7 minutes. Let's jump right to our clips.
okay.
Want to do that?
Yeah, Doug's
Okay.
clips.
We didn't do clips last week, so I don't want to let people down. So, have you ever heard of a slider?
Oh.
Not that you're paying attention and even heard what I said.
I don't know what a slider is.
Okay, a slider is a person who screws up your computer when they walk in a room. They can't wear a watch because it won't play. Stuff breaks around. Electronic stuff doesn't work. They call them sliders. And Joe, this is like happened. You can ask Joe tonight. This has happened probably 20 times. He comes in the room. He sits near me, behind me or near me to talk about a project, and my computer crashes. Like every single time.
He's a slider.
Joe is a slider. Yep.
Don't have him walk by the server.
Yeah, he's a slider. So if you want to play clip 1, this guy talks about him.
I'm here with Mark, and he is what I have just learned is called a what?
Slider.
So sliders are people who have a unique relationship with electronics. And in your case, what happens?
Pretty much anytime I use electronic equipment, it will malfunction, whether it be a phone, a computer.
And what happens to watches?
Sometimes when I wear watches, they'll either shut off or run backwards.
Yep, see?
Now, is there any medical
watches.
explanation for all this?
No, we've tried to research it on the internet, and they're saying that it's just some
that's
type
good.
of electrical energy that your
Blah,
body.
blah, blah,
Blah, blah, blah.
blah, 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 blah. Got to get through the meat. That's all. We don't care about the details. Don't you speed read the news? And
Yeah.
you never want to read the headlines, but you want to get into the article. But just you just need to know a few things and go. Oh, I can figure out the rest. Okay. Clip 2. This is kind of cool. This was done by a quantum physics guy who he's a scientist, but he took and he's doing sculptures. He's using his knowledge of quantum physics to make them go invisible. That's kind of interesting. I studied this for a while, could not figure out what he's doing.
It's almost like a hologram.
No, it's a solid object.
Oh, it's solid. Oh, that's cool.
Yeah. I think he uses a lot of mirrors.
That's all mirrors.
Yeah, I think there's mirrors that
So it
are
almost becomes like
gathering light from in front of it and behind it. And, it's got a lot of angles. I don't really know.
it almost like looks invisible.
I can't
angle.
afford one. Well, a chain link fence looks invisible too, but there's a lot of material in that sculpture.
Yeah.
I'll get you one for Christmas.
That'd be sweet.
Yeah. Clip 3, the sound is fine. This is a bee. You don't have to really worry about getting stung. You just have to worry about it eating your house. Carpenter bee. And I know you know all about carpenter bees, right, Alex?
Oh, yeah, I'm an expert.
Yeah, I figured that you were. But they bore holes right in your fence. They'll bore it in your siding. I've heard of them boring through James Harding, which is like wood, pulp, and concrete. These things they chew, and then they spit out their pulp. So play this clip. Sounds good.
That's the carpenter bee, the famous carpenter bee. Look what he's doing. Isn't that, they hover like a hummingbird. Look at this. Look what he did. He spit the wood out from this hole. He carved that hole, Montclair, New Jersey.
I like how the guy adds his city in there and state. Montclair, New Jersey. I thought we cared about the bee.
How do you get rid of them? You don't?
Carpenter bees? Why would you want to get rid of them?
Because they're going to eat your house.
Well, I don't know. Swat them, I guess.
You just wait till they're done eating it.
Oh my God. I had a Breaking Bad moment in my home. I let one of those big horseflies in my house. So for 3 days, I was after this thing, trying to outsmart him. And he outsmarted me for 2 days, And finally, he flew into the bathroom, and I shut the bathroom door behind him, went in the bathroom. Now, all I could find, of course, I didn't have a fly, so I had a roll of paper towels. Then, of course, he lands on the ceiling, so I climb up on the toilet or whatever, and I whack him, and I keep missing him. Finally, I got him in midair, just thud. And he did that spin thing on the ground, and I went, doosh, gone. Put him in the little flush action, he's gone. I know, it felt bad, but God dang, those things are obnoxious. They're just buzz you. I don't know. Anyhow. Okay. Clip 4. Don't, yeah, that's good. These are no doubt the biggest diamonds I've ever seen. You're going to see a 69 karat diamond, all cut, beautiful, an 80 karat diamond. One's 8 million, one's 13 million bucks. So I want you to think about buying this as a gift for your wife.
Don't give her any ideas.
No, I am trying to give everybody ideas. All the men to hate me. But you need to see. I mean, these are beautiful. These are so pure. You put them in water and they'll disappear. You know what I mean? You don't know what I mean. You haven't bought a diamond yet, have you? You haven't had the pleasure?
No.
Well, they rate them, and these are like VVS2F, very pure. They don't have inclusions. They don't have little black dots in them, and they're not yellow.
What does that mean? Very expensive?
Don't ever go and buy a diamond, and then you think you did really good because you got a good deal on it, and you come back and you get it in the right light, and it looks yellow, unless your lady wants a yellow diamond. And then you're going to want it really yellow, so it's prettier.
What's a yellow diamond?
They're just cheaper.
Okay, that's the one I want.
Okay, well, I'll go with you and help you buy a yellow diamond. Okay, but you got to play this clip. Clip number 4. That sounds fun.
Oh my God. This one happens to be one of my favorite pieces that we have right now. This is a Harry Winston necklace. You have a 69 karat pear shape on the bottom. It's a F color VVS2 and we're asking 8 million. Comes with a certificate and everything. If that's not a wow, I don't know.
I want to rock one of those.
Look at the look on his face.
Brother, this is just the beginning. Let me show you one other thing.
One other thing.
If she says no, I don't know. Okay, so what's the price?
So this ring in particular, as I said, it's a D flawless, 80 carats, something you're never going to be able to find very often. This is 13 million.
You will not see a stone like this. A D flawless stone, which is
I would actually drop it down the
sewer. You pull it out of the ring and you put it in a glass of water, it will literally disappear. That's how flawless the stone is, and the color, obviously.
That's what you meant. It'll disappear in water.
Yeah, in water. Yeah, they're just so pure. But could you imagine spending 13 million on a rock? Oh. Okay.
Oh. Cubic zirconia.
Texas Jack says, follow me for more money saving tips. Okay. Let's see, where are we at? Oh, this is okay. This one, everybody can turn their volume up. This is important. This is to test your hearing. Very obviously, it's unscientific, but it's very interesting because a lot of people don't realize that as the older you get, you are limited on the higher frequencies that you can hear. So when you're young, you're 3 years old, you can hear higher and higher frequencies. But at my age, they drop off pretty quick. Have you ever done the sound test with the earphones, Alex?
No.
And they do the beep, and you got to tell them what ear.
Oh, yeah. I've done that.
And then they just keep going higher and higher until you're not signaling them anymore.
So,
and they know you didn't hear it.
Can babies hear dog whistles?
Well, if anybody could, it would be a baby, yeah. But see, they don't know how to communicate, so they can't tell you they heard the dog whistle.
They can't tell you.
So it's hard to test. But, okay. So let's play this once, and I may narrate some of it. So just go ahead and play it. What sound?
How old are your ears? Let's test it.
is age 70, 69, 67, 65, 63, 60, 57. So I'm probably at about 55, my hearing. Wasn't that painful?
Yeah.
What do you mean?
Like what you see? Follow for more.
You don't want to play that clip again?
No. That was painful.
Oh, yeah. But it's interesting. Did you follow along and test your hearing or no?
Yeah. I think I'm around 40.
Okay. I noticed that your eyes are smoking. Okay. All right. Let's we're getting done here. Then we get to bring Thomas on. Okay. Where are we at? Oh, clip 6. It's interesting. I get to play with one flexible screen like this. Go ahead and play clip 6. Self-explanatory. No music. There you go. Okay, play it again. There you go.
So you've gotten to play with one of those?
Yes.
That's crazy that they're able to do that.
Yep. They wanted my opinion what I thought of it. It wasn't a cell phone. It was a monitor.
How much would you have to pay for something like that?
No, they're going to be cheaper and cheaper and cheaper. It's actually a lot of the screen stuff is printed on electroluminescent paper. That makes sense.
So is everyone going to have one eventually?
Yeah, I would say you're probably, instead of an iWatch, we got to wear a band. It'll just be a little slap thing, it'll grip your wrist. Thin, light, necklaces, Yep, great way to get radiation.
Shirts.
Yeah. Have you seen the LED shirts that you can buy?
Yeah, with LEDs in them. Yeah.
No, it's electroluminescent.
Oh,
technology.
okay. No, I haven't seen those.
No, and I've got a whole bunch of electroluminescent stuff I've been playing with. Really interesting. That paint you can get, electroluminescent paint. We just so you know, we sell electroluminescent tubes. Just so you know, I'll show you the tube. You actually sell them. You don't even know about it. Okay. Clip 8.
Clip 8?
Yep, clip 8. No, that's clip 7. That's okay. You can play clip 7. I was going to skip it.
Oh, you were going to skip it? Oh, okay.
Well, I usually like to play the clips I call out.
Oh. Okay, instead of going in order.
It's a number thing.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
so we're going rogue today.
I'm going rogue. Go ahead and play clip 7.
Okay, well now we're on to
Back
clip
to
8.
the thing.
No, we're on
Somebody
clip 8.
built this with just too much time on their hands, but it's a nice illusion. It's kind of fun. Play it.
All right, now we're going back to clip 7.
Yeah.
Let's go back here.
There you go.
She's got no torso.
No. Have you ever seen where somebody will take like rods and they'll hook a dummy up to them, and so when they dance, it's basically a pantograph system. It's called a pantograph.
Yeah, I know all about pantographs.
No, you don't. Actually, I made one for you kids once just to get you, because it's just you move one thing and the exact movements happen on opposite. Yeah. Pantographs are cool. Anyhow, it's a pantograph peddler. Okay, so jeez, like what is going on with you today? Clip 8. Sound is good. Go ahead and play it. This is just a monster crazy snake. This guy's attitude is hilarious.
She's a monster. Not only a monster size-wise, she's a monster.
Wait till you see the head of this thing.
She's not trying to bite me.
Oh my god.
And he's carrying that thing with the mouth. He's like looking for something to bite. Bites him in the butt and he's like, oh, that hurt.
She's not a very nice snake.
Is it me or that guy's got the lowest voice on the planet?
They say when you go do something, just manage to bite you in the ass. I mean, that's what happened.
What's the deal with that guy's voice?
I feel like they lowered his voice. It's not
Oh
his real
man,
voice.
I don't think so.
They gave him the
Really?
Darth Vader voice.
No, I don't think so. Anyhow, I think he's been bit by too many snakes.
Yeah, that could
That's
do
a
it
cool
too.
clip. But anyhow, he's obviously got a great attitude. He's obviously extremely brave.
Extremely brave.
Extremely okay.
That's one
So
way of
clip
putting it.
9, don't just this here's some wild hogs, and I want to warn people, this will demonstrate how quick they can change direction. And so if you encounter a wild hog and it's walking one direction, that doesn't mean it's going to keep walking in that direction. It can dart instantly, almost in a right angle turn, and attack you. You know, they don't necessarily meander. So watch clip 9. This is crazy. Here comes the piglets. It's really, the clip's not working, Alex. Yeah, it's not working. It's too leggy. Didn't work at all. Try it again.
Too leggy?
Yeah, I'm gonna have to get you. I'm gonna have to get you, Elon. Here we go. Did you see that?
Yeah.
Could you imagine if that thing was darting towards the camera guy? He wouldn't have much time to react.
No, you'd have enough time to scream. That's about it.
A lot of people don't realize how quick wild boars are. I mean, they're a lot quicker than a domesticated pig.
Yeah, they're faster than you think.
Yep, and they're moving. I mean, they're spreading all over the country. It's going to be I guarantee we'll be dealing with Minnesota at some point soon. Okay, blah, blah, blah. Clip 10. This is obviously the best camouflage in the entire world for an insect. I've never seen anything like this. It's crazy. So let's play it. There's no sound needed. Look at this. How it mimics the vein.
Wow.
And it has these little, very thin, fibrous hairs, I guess. Isn't that crazy?
Yeah. Yeah, it's pretty good camouflage.
Even Thomas Sewid would have a problem spotting that bug.
You think so?
I think so.
I think he's got keen eyes. Doug.
He does, but
I think
he'd
he
have a
would catch
problem.
that thing. I don't think he'd.
so.
No, he'd catch it 100 miles away.
You ask him. Okay. So Thomas,
yes.
So, you know, some people may know him from his television series, The Aboriginal Adventures, or the many appearances he makes on Sasquatch, Bigfoot, television shows, movies, and podcasts, right?
Yep.
He goes to conferences. He shares stories, beliefs of the, I always have a trouble pronouncing this name, but it means a Sasquatch or a Bigfoot. And he can pronounce these names. Dazuniqua, something like that.
He's laughing.
There's like Siatko. Oh, of course he is. That's all right. We're gonna have fun.
Is getting close? No, or not.
But he's an amazing historian.
Yes.
He's a storyteller, multiple Bigfoot witness, wildlife expert, tourism promoter, a guide. If you need the best guide in the world, Thomas is the guy. I know expeditions have used him. Anyhow, so without delay, let's bring Thomas on.
How you doing?
Good,
There he
doing
is.
good.
All right,
Yellow
pronounce
Casa,
that.
greetings.
Pronounce that
Zunaqua.
name for me. Zunaqua. Zun. The D is silent, correct? Yeah.
Yeah, kind of silent. Chunacha.
Oh, okay. I agree. That's it. You did
I'm
good.
sure there's many Kwakwakiwak saying he said it wrong as well.
Man. Yes, that's your tribe. Say that again. It's crazy.
Kwakwakiwak.
Yeah.
We're
Isn't
from
that nuts?
northern Vancouver Island, British Columbia, Canada.
Yeah.
I love it.
That's amazing. It's just, it's complex. And so for a guy like me to try to say it, I butcher it. But you hear somebody like you say it, it sounds so graceful. It sounds so natural and graceful.
Well, I teach everyone what I'm going to say exactly afterwards, both of you. Do the walk of the Kwakwakiwak. Say it.
Do the walk of the walkie walk.
Dude, the
There, you'll
walk
never
of
forget how to
the-
say my private name.
Oh my God. Alex can't even get his numbers right tonight.
You know, I have this weird thing about going in order.
I know. Okay. Anyhow, so here's the deal tonight. I didn't even want to really tell you what I want to talk about so much, but I want to just dive right in. You have had some very intimate, sightings of these creatures, and I want to start there, and I want to go backwards. I want to start with your sightings, and then we can get into just
with the whole, I guess you could say, Sasquatch industry. Everyone's trying to be and claim they're an expert. There is no expert until you sit down and have a Diane Fossey, Jane Goodall interaction. Well, I got close to that, and we're still working on it. But for 25 years, I lived in bush. I got so tired of, no offense to the listeners, the white man world. I was, every which way I tried to turn or insert myself, I was a square peg trying to fit into a round hole. And finally, after numerous, I guess you could say, catastrophes and bad happenings, I said, what do I need this for? I'm going to go into the bush, go into my traditional territories and live off the environment and live with the environment. So basically what I just said is I went Sasquatch. I remember times pulling branches down and looking at forest workers and smelling their coffee and seeing the thermoses and seeing them smoke cigarettes. And I'd been out of coffee for months. I'd been out of cigarettes for months. But as much as I wanted to go join them and bum a smoke and a cup of coffee, I would just let the branch up and like a Sasquatch turn and walk back into the forest. I hated humans. That's how bad I was. I guess what I look at is that's how good I got. I understood that humans are the dumbest critter on this entire planet. And I'd gotten so fed up with them, I just did like a Sasquatch and went into the bush. And it took me, I was in there, I'd come out, get cigarettes and party if I made a few dollars doing guiding or what have you. And I watched logging camps during the winter, so by myself. So I got to watch TV and videos and use a washing machine, and shower. But most of the time I was out there in the bush water world. And to me, I was, there was times when I just look up at night because I didn't have a fire. I didn't want a fire. I didn't want to smell like smoke. If I smelled like smoke, I wasn't going to get close to those animals to shoot them or use my slingshot on them to eat. So at night, pitch black, I remember getting up and smelling and then going, yo, Weeksas, hello, Sasquatch. I don't know who you are. What are you up to? And you'd get a, yo, and they'd move away because I was respecting them. And so I was having that, not sightings, I was having that interaction with them. And I understood why they're so elusive. They hate us, they despise us, they loathe us, the same way I was back when I was living in the bush. So for me as a Sasquatch, I term myself an investigator. I don't call myself a researcher because I don't have that Diane Fossey, Jane Goodall interaction going. But I'm doing it for one reason. I'm educating those people that are trying to claim to be an expert Sasquatch researcher, investigator. I'm educating them. Number one, how to increase their chances of seeing a Sasquatch and getting close to them with Sasquatch Island, my Facebook group and my YouTube channel, Sasquatch Island. And like I say, the Indians educating, read it, watch it, and learn it and understand, like I do, how to get to an area where your chances of encountering Sasquatch are going to be increased because you're using their seasonal migrations throughout the Pacific Northwest, but using the same applications in your region of Sasquatch Island, North America. And that's what I'm doing. And, it bothers me when I work with people within the community, Todd Neese being one of them, Stephen Major, and they backstabbed me and belittled me. And now they're out there, because they, their attitudes are that I want to be the only Sasquatch researcher. But they used me. They used me for my information, and then they all of a sudden stabbed me in the back. And now that's my new path is, okay, it's not just educating people how to get close to Sasquatch. It's also educating them how to deal with Sasquatch. Number one, always show respect to them. Never disrespect the Sasquatch. Never throw something back at them if they throw something at you. And God forbid, don't ever think of going in there with a gun to shoot and kill and hunt them. That is so disrespectful. It's murder anyway. They're humans. And they're just better humans than us. They're bigger, they're hairier, they have nocturnal vision, and they don't have what we have, like I experienced from Todd Neese and Stephen Major. Jealousy, resentment, belittling, gossiping, backstabbing. Sasquatches aren't like that. They don't have tools. They don't have fire. And look what fire has given us as the hairless bipedal on this planet. We got Putin and crazy little man in North Korea with their fingers above buttons right now. And we live in a very scary world because of that. And that's what fire gave us humans. And that's why Sasquatches don't use fire. They know that it will make them regress into a deeper state of being where they might be fighting one another, having wars within each other. And I can tell by your guys' body language that you're very intrigued upon this. Now, I don't know.
Well, I have a question. Yeah. Do you feel that they ever fight amongst themselves?
We have no oral reports of that from the First Nations of Canada, the North American Indians, nor from people that have had encounters. We do know of a few little skirmishes between Sasquatch to Sasquatch, but that was more than likely skirmish for mating. Dominance, who's the better one?
Yeah. Say, Thomas, your couple of things. Your picture's sideways, so yeah, I think there we go.
Yeah,
there we go. But one of the things we certainly don't want to do is we don't want to talk about other researchers. I want to talk about the Bigfoots. I want to talk about your perspective, which is obviously very unique. Did you at any time felt like maybe you could have survived living like you were? Like you really could identify with the way they were feeling?
Oh, absolutely. Only reason I'm here in Kent, Washington is because a girl came paddling in a zebra striped kayak, and
Thomas, we lost him. He'll join again.
Yeah.
That's too bad.
Yeah. When people do these on cell phones, so often they keep touching them, and they're just probably maybe just if you can get it set.
Yeah. So I mean, it sounds like from what he was saying, he feels like Sasquatches live a more pure and innocent lifestyle.
That's interesting. Do you want to see if we can get him back? Does he know how to come back in?
Yeah. He knows how to come back in.
Oh, okay. I have a feeling his battery went dead. That's my thoughts.
I mean, it's possible. I know you were going to have Joe on later. We could try to see if he's available because we might not be able to get.
Well, let's give him some time. Give him some time. Any questions you have for Thomas, just put them in the chat. In caps. There we go. Do you want to reach out to him, Alex? See if you can...
Yeah, I'm gonna jump off camera for just
go
a
ahead
second,
and jump
give him
off.
a call. All right.
Sounds good. So, on June 3rd through the 5th, we're going to be doing a lot of really interesting experiments with infrasound. And there you go. We didn't know if you were coming back or not.
Yeah, no, my phone fell down and it
no
disconnected. Sorry about that, everyone. Yeah, but what was your question again?
Well, I was just wondering how much did you adapt, and how hard was it to adapt? How long did it take? Was it a week, a month? How long were you out there again?
Well, because I was brought up with bush and water world right from a young kid. I remember, probably being about 9 years old, being brought to a clam beach, and first thing the elders told us was look for broken cockle shells, a type of clam out here in the Pacific Northwest, which is the favorite food of us Indians and also the favorite food of the Sasquatch and the Bakwus, the little creatures. But anyway, we were taught, how to live in harmony with Sasquatch so that we were always respecting them, but also how to harvest and live off the environment. When the tide's low, the buffet table's set. So we were taught all that. So when I always was in the bush or out commercial fishing, but when I made that choice to really go into the bush and live, it really wasn't that hard. It was, sure, I ran out of coffee and cigarettes, and most times I go back for more coffee and cigarettes to the concrete world. But living out there, you're constantly moving your hands, your arms, and you're grabbing things, bending down and picking it up. You're always putting food into your mouth. And then that way, that's like living like a Sasquatch. You're constantly being a hunter-gatherer. And, if you lose weight, sure, but, you also eat very good. You eat a lot of good nutritional seafood and deer and mountain goat. You can live off mountain goat, but God, it tastes terrible.
Interesting. So you had mentioned you had some type of interaction in hearing them while you were in that state.
Oh yeah. Like I used to go with a cousin of mine, and he had severe fetal alcohol syndrome, and he was the same age as me. And, I remember he loved going up into the Alpines and punching through the timberline and getting up into the meadows and the craggy rock mountain peaks and that. He had a belief that he was going to find rubies up there. Whatever. I had someone to be a partner to go up there, and he'd come to me and he'd be cowering down like a little monkey, and all of a sudden he'd grab I think he called it carabiner, those clips you snap.
Yep.
Well, we had those because we needed them, but he'd clip to me when we were sleeping, and we used to sleep by putting a blanket around us and a tarp and our gun between our legs, and we'd sleep back to back, be it against a log or under an overhang or in a crack in the rocks. But when he clipped himself with his carabiner, I'd always go, "What's wrong? What do you see out there?" He'd be out poking around the camp and, getting firewood and that. And he's like, "Oh, the big fellas." I looked up and the big fellas were looking at me. I'm like, "What'd they do? Did they smile at you?" Grimace. And that's them telling you that, they're not really comfortable with you. "No, he didn't smile at me, but they scare me." And, and I'd go, "Why do you put the carabiner on me?" "Oh, if he drags me away, he's dragging you too." So, we knew they were about all the time, but it was that respect thing. We respected them, they respected us, and we didn't have any conflict. And I only had conflict with Sasquatches on one occasion, a couple occasions. That's about it.
Well, let's okay, so we've got that. We kind of know what you did, but at other times you obviously have had sightings. Do you want to tell us your most profound, earth-shaking, soul-changing sighting, Thomas?
Would probably be 2006 when 3 or 4 of them. I had a sea kayak camp where I would take people sea kayaking and paddle with the orca whales, the Johnson Straits, and I still have them, 5 cabins that look like miniature, what you would call a longhouse. We call big houses. They're made of cedar. They're 8 by 10 foot glorified garden sheds, uninsulated, but they keep you dry and out of the wind, and they have native designs painted on the front. Well, 2006 we were there, and I'd cut a bunch of the driftwood up and out here in the Pacific Northwest, we get driftwood on the beaches, sometimes, 50 yards wide, and logs, some of them up to 5 feet in diameter or bigger. And most of them are, about that big or to a foot or half a meter in diameter. So I cut all these logs up, 2 full tanks, and my Husqvarna chainsaw, the largest one they make. So I'd work for probably a good hour, and saw ran out of gas. So I put it down, and I told one of the boys to throw me a can of Pepsi, and I grabbed it, took half a can of drink, sat down in one of those folding lawn chairs with a drink holder. And just when I sat down, these 2 trees just started shaking up on the rock bank behind my cookhouse where we're all standing, 4 of us. And right away, I sent my dog up there. His name was Land Claims. And I'm like, "Landy, get up there, watch." And he ran up the rock bank. And when he looked behind where the 2 trees were shaking, and they were probably 5 inches in diameter, cedar trees, he just sprung, pushed himself from the rock wall, did a 180 in the air, and his tail between his legs, this big, tough bush dog who doesn't back down on bears, black and grizzly, is now hauling butt to the dinghy that's at the high tide mark. And he was scared. And then that's when I asked for a gun, and one of my crewmen said, it's out in the boat, anchored out in the bay. So I said that. So I looked behind the cookhouse, and we measured the next day, but where that Sasquatch was standing, it was in between two cedar trees, and it's looking at me, and all of a sudden it just goes like that to me, and I can see his tendons and his wrinkles and everything, and I'm just like, whoa, he's not happy. So I'm like, get in the dinghies, we're getting out of here. And we got to the tour boat of mine, which is a 12-passenger aluminum water taxi that's worth about $180,000, and it was brand new. So a water Lamborghini. So we jumped in that, and I wanted to go stay around the corner, but no way my sister would have that. She was crying and freaking out. And so we had to go stay at a marina. And the next day I dropped her off in port, and she went back home and would never go to my cabins again. But I went back to that cabin complex with guns, and was drinking a gallon of water on the way in on my 4x4. And when we got there, me and two buddies, we lit it up with just shooting in the air and shooting at trees. And I'm yelling, this is my camp. I'm not leaving. And I just did like an animal. I just peed everywhere I could around my camp. And I had peace after that. Me and the Sasquatches never had that conflict again. You know, they come at night and sniff by my windows and cracks in the wall, or they boom, hit the side of my cabin to let it be known that I'm not the dominant bipedal critter out there. That's their
Do you think that's why they bang cabins, to show their dominance, or is there another reason?
Remember, they're called the Watcher. They're always watching you. So I bet you anything, you know, they like a good ha-ha too. You know, a couple of them are watching in the window, and a buddy goes up, boom, hits the side of the trailer in the cabin, watches these hairless bipedals, sphincters pucker up, and they lift off the couch 4 feet. You know, Sasquatches are probably all giggling away as they're going into the bush. Are you scared the bejesus out of them tonight? Yeah, let's go. We got to go eat. We'll do that again next week. And that's why I think they do it.
So you're pretty convinced they have a good sense of humor.
Oh yeah, they have culture, they have language, they have laws, very strict laws. They hum, they sing. You know, if we got all the reports in there, you know, it's so powerful, social media and the internet with YouTube especially, you know, we've been able to all witness hearing what it sounds like when a Sasquatch hums, or when Sasquatches are talking. But mind you, we got to watch out, because half of the stuff out there and internet is BS and bunk. So, but the ones that, you know, I've people send me and go, Tom, what do you think of this? No, I've already heard that one. I think that one's bunk and BS. And or else I'll say, no, I seen that one 3 years ago and listened to the audio. Yeah, I'm pretty convinced that's the real deal. So, you know, it's
so Tom, how do you filter out the junk? Do you base it off your personal experiences and see, does that line up with, you know, what you've experienced in the field?
Personal experience. And if there's ever any Sasquatch video or picture with snow or soft ground, throw it out if there's no track follow-up. Everyone can get a gun or a buddy with a gun and go in the next day or a few hours later and do track follow-up. And have we seen any, you know, other than the one from Russia that I can remember right away, where you know, you see the still picture of a Sasquatch in snow, and that individual, the Russian, had the wherewithal to go in and take photographs of the footprints afterwards. So right there, that one there is Dr. John Bindernagel, the late investigator who was my good buddy, taught me, when in doubt, throw it out. And then, you know, we know the reputations of some of them out there. And as you said, we're not going to say any names, but, you know, there's some investigators, supposed researchers that, you know, where's the track follow-up? You know, there's a flare waving around and, oh, he's right there looking at me. Yet with all this camera equipment, we didn't see a track follow-up the next morning at daylight. You know, so when in doubt, throw them out. And for the ones that are doing it, once you get caught, you're out of the community. You'll never be taken. Your words or your pictures or videos will never be taken to hold water again. So once you're labeled a hoaxer, you're done. You might as well go investigate UFOs and gremlins or dragons, because you're done in the Sasquatch world.
So you're saying basically, you know, obviously someone's reputation is important, and then having multiple types of evidence with the same sighting, right? So if they have pictures of the tracks along with the video cast, is that kind of where you're getting at?
Yeah, get as much evidence as you can. You know, it's like we watch those murder shows, police shows on TV, forensic scientists, you know, look at all the evidence they're gathering. It's not just a hair. We also have the footprints or the sole prints of the shoes, and we also have DNA, and we also have surveillance camera coverage of the gas station where that person did this crime. So the same principle, get as much evidence as you can. Then, you know, but a lot of people throw it at me. How come you don't do that? You're always out there investigating, and you'll show a picture of tracks or a blurry video of a Sasquatch you took a video of or something like that. I'm like, well, number one, I said that the better the images that you put out there, video or still picture, the more you're going to be attacked. We're humans. We're the worst animal on this planet. So I have stuff in my inventory, and I've pulled other stuff from other people's, you know, posts and that, you know, are, to me, I'm convinced they're Sasquatches, but I don't share them or use them because you're going to get attacked. So, but we're out there, you know, my team, we've invested in 2 P1000 Nikon built-in telephoto lens cameras that you can zoom in on the full moon and see a crater. So our whole plan is, yeah, we're going to get to that point, hopefully, where we have that Sasquatch out there. And if we use our cell phone or our little $200 camera, it's going to be a blob squatch, a blurry squatch, and we're going to be attacked. But if we take the time to put that P1000 on a tripod and zoom in, and you can see the video taken, and you can see the muscles moving, and the hairs on the mustache moving, and the eyelids opening and closing as it blinks, and the enamel all covered in plaque on their teeth as they're eating something. Well, then you did just like I said, we got more evidence than just the video. We zoomed right in and got some pretty convincing video, but we also went in there and got the hair sample, the cast, that shows some epidermal ridges, hopefully, and things like that. So you really, you know, in this, you know, with the humans out there and the ridicule, that door that opens up when you bring in supposed evidence of video or still picture, even print, you know, you better cover your bases, because us humans are nasty. And so if we're going to get conclusive proof, you know, and you want to be an investigator, you know, you're going to have to invest some money. We got behind me here, I got shelves with FLIRs and parabolic listening devices, audio recorders, P1000 Nikon camera, GoPros, stabilizers for the GoPros, and other things. So, you know, me and Peggy and our team are probably well in over $30,000 in equipment. And, you know, I could only wish I had the equipment that Russell Accord and his team have with Expedition Bigfoot. You know, I watch his series and I'm just like, oh God, I'd love one of those infrared machines, or one of those, or a drone. We don't even have a drone yet. Actually, one of our team members do. But yeah, that's what investigating is all about. You gotta spend money.
Well, okay. Getting back to some visceral feelings, have you ever had a moment where you got choked up, where you got, you know, maybe it was the first time you saw one, where you really got emotional over a sighting or an experience?
Well, number one, I'm a Hamatsa. It's a secret society of the Kwakwakiwak people, and I'm not allowed to allow myself to go down that path of emotions. You got to be strong. We're the fiercest of warriors and the right-hand men of chieftains. But for the listeners, Hamatsa, Hamatsa, there's a book called that, and there's numerous stuff on the internet, and by all means study it, but I can't dwell upon it or talk about it. It's a secret society. But emotion-wise, I guess probably the most emotional was, what really hit me was I gathered, because I'm the one who's interacting with my fellow North American Indians. If you guys go into an Indian community or Indian reservation and go, hey, look, I got this fancy camera equipment and all this stuff, and I want to do a Sasquatch show. You want to be interviewed? As soon as you shove the mic in a native Indian who's going to be willing to talk, most likely you're going to get, ugh, Sasquatch is over there. They button up. But with me, because number one, I'm a quasi Sasquatch celebrity, I guess you could say, because I'm on Netflix and other TV shows and podcasts, videocasts and that. when I go in, it's like, hey, Tom, I want to get a selfie with you. And, oh, sure, by all means, let's get a picture. And next thing you know, when I ask them, what do you know about Sasquatch? They just chatter like a Sasquatch, because I'm one of them. And they're just giving me reports that you never read about or hear about. And now they're willing to be recorded about this. And, that's why we have the video equipment and everything, the audio equipment, because I'm hearing these amazing stories. And the one that I heard was my grandfather told me that when our people got smallpox, all of our people in our village, and this was back in the late 1800s, 1890s, and the third wave of the smallpox plague, and everyone was dying, and that there's so many people dead that we couldn't lay them to rest properly. We were just throwing them in the water in front of the village, and they would float away or wash up further down the beach. And all of a sudden, my father, who was a chief, was told by the men, you better come outside and look at this. When he went outside, there was the gogi, their term for Sasquatch, standing at the edge of the wood, holding their young in their arms and dragging the bigger ones that are all covered in smallpox. And they'd come to the Indian village showing that they had this disease and they needed help from you humans. The chief went to his men, go inside and grab our sick and our young and bring them out and show them that we too have the plague. And that's what happened. And here's the Sasquatch clan with the Indian clan, and they're showing that they're both covered in this plague and their people are dying. Their Sasquatch clan are dying. And to me, that was really, it really hit me in the heart. And then all of a sudden, when I started asking that question during my interviews with my fellow Native people, what do you know about the smallpox plagues or the tuberculosis or the Spanish flu and so forth? And all of a sudden they just, I remember my grandfather or my great grandmother telling me, and I got all these reports about Sasquatches contracting the same diseases we North American Indians were getting back in the day. And so when all of a sudden COVID started and we're all running around like lost sheep, terrified and battening down their houses, and buying as much toilet paper and paper towel as we could find, I was one of the sheep too. And, I remember thinking, oh no, we're going to be covered in this plague called COVID. So I got word out to the tribes, to the people on the modern day Moccasin Telegraph, Facebook and Facebook Messenger. And they got back to me and they said, okay, Tom, we're doing it too. And what we were doing is we'd go get 4 big sticks, and an hour before dark, we'd go outside our places where we had Sasquatch activity or interactions going on the Indian reserves and communities. And we would cough and hack like we were really sick. And then we'd put that, you guys can hear me? Because you all froze up. Yep. Okay, good. So anyway, we'd put the stick over our heads and we'd snap it and break it like Sasquatch is, tree breaking. It's a warning. And then we go out 45 minutes later and cough and hack and break the second stick and do it again right at dark. And then hour into dark, do it again a 4th time. 4 is the magic number of the indigenous tribes of the Americas. It's a powerful number. And also the 4 directions of that we travel on and the 4 paths of life. So anyway, we sent message to the Sasquatches that we hairless bipedal creatures are sick once again and you guys might get it. Well, it was just up until recently that the Sasquatches just vanished from a few Indian reservations. They heeded the warning. But during that time when we had that, and I was watching a video and someone supposedly was recording with his video camera a coughing Sasquatch. It was before COVID, mind you. But that one during COVID really touched me. It really emotionally. It was like,
say,
wow.
Thomas, can I interrupt you?
Yeah.
That's like the banned word. We just don't even want to talk. We've literally almost lost our channel for even talking about it. It's really sensitive.
You're not doing anything wrong, Thomas, but the way
No.
YouTube is.
It's just the way the world is now. They don't want to.
Yeah.
It flags algorithms, and then they start. They'll look for an excuse to ban us.
Oh, tell me about it.
Yeah,
but Sasquatches, though, I think,
But okay, let's just slow it down a tiny bit. Do you ever worry? Then you do worry about them getting human diseases, correct? You
Absolutely.
have concerns. Yeah, okay.
Yes.
And that's been a question a lot of people have had about how do you think they've avoided? Is it just the distance that they keep, in the forest from people? That they obviously have avoided any, any of our human diseases that we know of.
Well, we know as native peoples that they've contracted smallpox, Spanish flu, tuberculosis, and other influenzas. So, and chickenpox as well. So that being said, when people go, how come they don't come to our fire? I leave gifts out and they don't come and sit with me. Well, they despise us. They loathe us. They hate us. They fear us. Just look around at what we've done to our environment, their environment. Clear cutting, fracking, pipelines, urban sprawl, strip mines, forestry. And, you wonder why people wonder why Sasquatch doesn't want to come to us. It's like me, when I went rogue, that's what I like to say when I went into the bush, I didn't want to be around humans. I just despised them. I feared them, and as soon as some human saw me and put two and two together and, oh, you're Tom Sewid, you're the guy they're looking for. I didn't do no crime or anything, but, people were looking for me because they were worried. But at the same turn, you don't want, people knowing where you are, next thing you know, they're all traipsing through the bush with guns looking for you, and I felt that, I remember seeing a search party looking for me one time and I just went over the hill, over the mountain and across the valley and up the other mountain, got as far away from those humans as I could. So I understand how Sasquatch thinks. I think anyway. I'm just speculating.
Yeah. So, have you had a unobscured view of a Sasquatch? Nothing behind a tree, like completely out in the open.
In 2012, we had Sasquatches probing our camp. We're building cabins for my native tribe on a 250-acre island up in our traditional territories off northeastern Vancouver Island. And I was giving heck to my crew because the apples and the garlic were being used up too much and left out, and the mice were getting them, I figured, or the bears. And they're like, no, we got that wire on the lockbox. It's metal. We noticed that too. And that's when we left some apples and garlic out. And that's when we realized it was a Sasquatch that was taking them. And, with opposable thumbs, it was able to untwist the wire in the metal lock clasp and open up the lockbox and get at our garlic and our apples. But respectfully, we only take a couple apples and one garlic clove. But, and then so I had enough of, I jumped out of behind the cabin we're staying in that we just built. I jumped from front of it and looked behind because I smelled something and heard something. And I locked eyeball to eyeball at probably 35 feet, 40 feet, juvenile-ish 6'5" Sasquatch, 6'6" area. But you could tell he was a teenager. He's skinny, lanky. He just had the teenager look, and his face was not too dark yet. It was sort of light tan. And, I scared the bejesus out of him, and he scared me. We both yelled it and turned and ran our separate directions. I went back in the cabin because it was surprising. And then a few nights later, more stuff went missing. So I went out of the cabin before dark, and I crawled behind all of these big piles of leaves and branches that we'd raked and piled up, cleaning up the area where we're building these cabins, and inside the bush area for, we didn't want fuel for fires in case someone threw a cigarette butt down and burned the island down. But also we were cleaning up, but I did them strategically along the entranceway into the outhouse trail. And when I crawled out of the cabin window and I snuck on the ground on my belly and I got this big pile of alder leaves, like maple leaves, I crawled in it and I put my gun on my chest and I pulled leaves all over me, and I'm sitting on my butt and I got my hat on and my eyes are showing under the brim of my hat to all these leaves. And just before dark there, I could see that big bipedal shadow coming through the alder trees. And then when it got to the trail, which was old skidder trail from logging back in the day, probably in the early 1930s, it was like a 5-foot high berm, like a ditch, and it's all growing with trees and everything, second growth. That Sasquatch and this was the big one. This was, I realized it then by the size of it. I'm like, that ain't the teenager. That's his daddy. Man, that thing's huge. It grabbed this alder tree about 4 inches in diameter, and it stepped down with its right leg in off that 5-foot berm. And it's looking down the trail entrance to the back of my cabin where me and my crewman are sleeping and we're sleeping at night. And as it's fixated on that cabin, it's just coming off the berm. It's ready to lift its left foot. And I come shooting out of that pile of leaves. I'm like, hey, what are you doing? Well, that Sasquatch, he just, rah! He jumped and he pulled that alder with his left hand, and the alder tree bent, and he jumped up on the bank and he turned full at me and just, rah! Looked at me and roared. I could see his teeth. I could see his eyes. I could squint and I could see all the muscles and everything. And I just burst out laughing because I scared the hell out of him. He was trying to put the jig on me, sneaking up to me in that cabin. And all of a sudden I come popping out of that pile of alder leaves. And what I was doing was peeing up the fence post higher than him, showing him that you might be a big 7-foot Sasquatch, but this 5'10" Indian. And back then I was about 55 pounds heavier, had big double chins and everything. This FBI, this flipping big Indian, just put you in your place there, big Sasquatch. And then a couple days later, he was on the bank. I was looking behind as we were working on the cabins, I looked behind on the hill, and it's 3rd week October, I guess. So the leaves are falling off the alder trees, so I can see right up the hill into the hillside. And there's this huge cedar stump from when they logged it back in the day. It had to be probably 6-7 feet at the butt. It's a big cedar stump. You know, I'd seen it many other times. I'd walk by it and I'm looking at it going, something's out of place here. So I told the crewman, go get my Bushnell 3x9 scope from my gun. It's in a plywood in a cardboard box. So he brought it over to me, and I wouldn't take my eyes off that cedar stump. I just kept my eyes looking at it, and I grabbed that scope and I looked up, and there's that big daddy Sasquatch, got alder leaves all over him, and his arms are all splayed so that he's not making that typical head, shoulders, arm silhouette. Like his arms are out and it's covered in leaves, his whole body up to his chest. And as I'm looking at him with that scope, he stands up and goes, stood up, turned, and just boom, 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 walks up that hill and disappears. And we never heard from him again or his teenage son. I think he realized that FBI Indian, he just peed higher up the fence post than me again. He can have this darn island. I'm moving to another one with my son. And that's what I call putting the jig on him, turn the table on. And that's how you're going to get close to a Sasquatch. You got to outthink them. You got to remember they have forgotten more about camouflage and breaking silhouette in the forest than we will ever know. So you better use your ingenuity and turn that table like I did to pop out of leaves and get close to the Sasquatch.
Would you mind answering just some really rapid fire, just short answers, questions? Okay. Do you think one of them would be, do you think what was I going to say? Do you feel that they live like the males will go off and live alone? Do they always live in clans and family groups? That's one question. Another one would be on diet. What do you think what do you think their mainstay diet is? Do they migrate is another question. So I just want to get I'm curious on your take on a bunch of these things.
Okay, you have the family clans, and they're like a military unit, how they move. The nucleus of the cell is the elders, the sick, and the young ones. And then around them are your harvesters, and around that are your scouts, and around that are your hunters, which are also scouts. And that whole unit moves like a military operation. So in other words, when you hear boom, tree bang, or a tree break, or a mimic of an owl or a wolf or a raven, it's them warning the clan that beware, next sound you hear is going to be what direction we have to move as that nucleus of electrons and protons, which is our clan. And then when a big male gets ousted, because that's the law of the wild, the code, that every leader gets ousted to get strength in a genetic pool. So when we hear of someone going postal in our community of humans, because they got thrown out of the house. They can't see the kids. There's restraining orders. They got to pay a big alimony. Everyone's not answering their phone calls or messengers or emails. And all of a sudden something snaps in the head of that man and he goes postal. Well, as his family was taken away from him, his kingan on him, his children. I've been there. I know what that's like. So when all of a sudden you hear of these missing 411 with David Paulides and all these thousands of people going missing, they probably came across a rogue Sasquatch, one that was once a clan family leader that got ousted by a younger, stronger male, and he'd gone postal. Now he becomes a human killer. Which brings up an interesting thought. What do they eat? Well, how come we hear about Sasquatch?
Well, just hang that thought. Do you think they act very much like? Well, I know, but I just want to ask one last question. Do you think a Sasquatch family is very much like wolves? The way wolves are socially. Okay.
Absolutely.
Interesting. So they are like wolves.
They're just smarter. They're just big, hairy humans. So they're like the Indian clans of old. Before contact, we were pretty structured socially, military-wise, strategically, and we were always competing with instinct, always trying to oust one another. That's why we have potlatches and powwows to this day. And, you know, the metamorphical form of warfare for us Indians on British Columbia is the basketball or soccer tournament. And so, you know, we still keep that instinctual thing of always doing battle with one another. And Sasquatches don't do that, but they do have a very structured social hierarchy, just like every indigenous tribe did most of their existence and still do to a certain extent in this modern day.
Well, what about diet? What are your thoughts on diet?
Seasonal
diet.
Seasonal migrations based upon seasonal harvest. So here in the Pacific Northwest, we're into snow melt. So snow is receding in mountains. The alpine grasses and plants and tubers are starting to erupt. The ungulates will move up there for fawn drop. Your mountain goats are already up there, but your elk and your deer will move up there because it's great for milk production for the mums at fawn drop. They can also see predators a long distance away. But this time of the year, as that snow is receding, the animals that didn't make it down when the snows first came are being exposed, carrion. And you look up and you see ravens and eagles and turkey vultures and magpies in some regions. Well, it's exposing the carrion. Every indigenous tribe in North America relished certain carrions at one time. My tribe still eats hooligan oil to this day, either like it or hate it. There is no in between on this fish oil that we eat. Some people call it rancid. I call it Indian ketchup. But so knowing that the indigenous people of North America ate carrion to a certain extent, or products derived from carrion, you know, Sasquatches are still doing that. And so when a deer or an elk gets exposed by receding snow and there's some turkey vultures on it, the Sasquatches are going to it's probably a delicacy to them to go eat that animal that's being exposed with the receding snow. And then once they've eaten everything up that they could find on the hill, now your lush greenery and roots and flowers and berries and animals are all up there. And then right now in Canada and Alberta and Saskatchewan and Northwest Territories, people are losing their entire homes and communities with the forest fires because, you know, temperatures are really changing. Well, the Sasquatches, people are always going, oh, poor Sasquatches, all these forest fires, they must be dying. No, they're up in the Alpine. They're looking down. They see the smoke. And if they have to, they go down the mountain, across the river, up the other mountain. That next night, they're on the other mountain watching the forest fire go by them. So Sasquatches, unlike us who live in the valleys and the hillsides and mountainsides and have our homes burnt to the ground with forest fires, they're not subjected to that tragedy because they have better frontal lobe development and they live a more pure existence with harmony tied to the environment, something that we forgot. We think we've progressed as a species. We've actually regressed.
What about tree structures? What's your take on them with your experience?
my advice to every Sasquatch investigator enthusiast is study your local Indian tribe of your region if you want to be a Sasquatch investigator, because you have to look at the anthropological side of the Indian people to correlate it to the Sasquatch clans, which are the hairy Indian people out there. That's why we call them the other tribe. So that being said, tree structures. It is so taboo back in the day, even nowadays for some of us tribes, for a man to be anywhere around female blood of birthing or menstruation. So we know of the birthing trees, the birthing areas of the Indian people that's documented. We know of the birthing houses that are even used to this day in some tribal Indian reservations and areas. And then we know of the anthropologically, when you read about Indian tribes, they all had these menstrual huts. So the men were never around that female blood because it takes away your ability to get close to animals and hunting and other things. It's taboo. So when a Sasquatch is out there being a scout or a hunter and he's male and he's doing his thing and he's looking, and all of a sudden he looks up yonder and there's a teepee structure or a bunch of branches or sticks leaning against a tree or a rock wall, right away he goes, "Oh, smells. Oh, I can't get downwind of that." That's female Sasquatch either giving birth or menstruating. So he goes upwind, goes around the structure, and then he starts on with his hunting and harvesting. So whenever you see these tree structures, why are they built with so much energy and time by Sasquatch, yet they can't, my neighbor was going to pound on the window, yet they can't retain heat. The wind will whistle through there. The snow will land inside. The rain, it won't keep them dry. Right. Why is that? Well, they're menstrual or birthing huts. That's what a tree structure is. And tree snaps, those are like, we see signs, curve coming up, slippery road, bridge coming up. That's what tree snaps are. They're identifying marks, and that's what I've studied. As I look at them, and because I'm a busher, I can look at tree snaps and go, that's what that one is for. It's when when they walk across this logging road and look uphill, and they see that big pronounced tree break, they know that there's a logging slash open up. It's a good area to go hunting or to look for animals to hunt, or if the berries are ripe. So when you're in the forest and it's all trees, and you're like, gee, I'm getting hungry. I wouldn't mind eating a deer, or maybe dig up some rodents, or maybe pick some berries. Well, if you're under canopy here in the Pacific Northwest, you could be hungry for 3-4 days or longer if you don't know where those berry patches and grassy open areas are. But if you look up the logging road, you see that tree break, and you know that, oh, good, there's a logging slash coming. I better slow down and go into stealth mode and use the wind to my advantage. So the wind is coming towards my face. You got to use ingenuity. That's what Sasquatches are doing. They're just the other tribe, another form of Indian.
Interesting. Do they use stones to hunt, do you think?
Absolutely. Yeah. We find them out there in the forest on strategic places. When you find a stone on a stump, a log, a rock, edge of a rock wall, look around and go, okay, if I'm a Sasquatch and I had that rock, why would I be sitting here? Oh, look, there's a deer trail, an animal trail. The prevailing wind this time of the year, downwind. This has all the advantages for a Sasquatch to be sitting here. And all of a sudden, when that animal comes, throw that rock like what we can do with a 22 bullet single shot rifle with iron sight is exactly what a Sasquatch can do with rocks. When I was a kid, my older cousins taught me, as soon as I broke away from mom and ran with the kids on the Indian reserves, they taught me how to throw a rock so I can knock pop cans and bottles off fence posts, railings, or planks we'd push out in the salt water with bottles and cans on it. And then when I got a little older, I was taught how to use the slingshot and how to make it with a pair of pliers and a wire coat hanger. Why? Because when we fought the family members down the road from the other family, we didn't fight with fists or slap or pull hair. We had rock fights. It was full-on warfare on the Indian res, and that's what Sasquatches are like. So what we can do with a 22, they can do with a rock, throwing it. And when you look around in your regions, like when I went to Omaha Indian Reserve in Macy, Nebraska, about 5 years ago, every time I went outside for a cigarette, one of the things I noticed was always downwind from me. Wind changed the next day, it'd be on my right side instead of my left. And what it was the scout letting everyone know that humans out of the cabin, because I was the only one staying in that complex that time, and he was being a scout. But one of the things I other noticed in Omaha Indian Reserve, which differs from the Pacific Northwest because of the different animals and birds, there is a lot of birds in central United States, especially in that area. Like there was like gazillions of little dicky birds right up to these big imported guinea hens and wild turkeys. I'd never seen those before. They're everywhere. Ducks in the river and ponds. And I thought, gee, no wonder why there's so many Sasquatches here. There's a lot of bird life. So when you're Sasquatch investigating, don't just always go, oh, there's got to go to an area where there's deer or elk, and that's where the Sasquatches will be. No, look at the areas where there's a lot of diverse protein in great abundance, and birds is number one. And that's why when you're out there investigating, you're going to see a lot of bird wings and bird legs, just the claw area of the legs. Yes, it's from other animals, everything from hawks to foxes and coyotes and so forth. But you will find when you out here in the Pacific Northwest, when you see two blue jay have been killed at a certain location, two crows had been killed in this within 100 yards of each other, you know, and then all of a sudden you find a Sasquatch track. Right away, I go, that's what they're eating. They're eating crows here. They're eating blue jays. They're eating ducks. They're eating seagulls. They're eating Canadian geese. So equate the protein of bird life into your investigating, and that really helps you find Sasquatch.
So you think they eat a lot of birds?
Oh, definitely. I've seen their evidence, all the feathers and, like I said, the pieces.
What about symbiotic relationships with other animals? Any stories or thoughts on that?
What does symbiotic mean? That's like,
relationships. Together? Yeah, relationships.
Mutually beneficial.
Like they're working with the ravens to spot injured game, or where
absolutely.
a deer might be, or a fawn might be.
The ravens have trained me, and I have trained the ravens and back and forth for hunting. So in other words, follow the two ravens and they'll show you where the deer is so you can shoot it so they can get the gut pile and offcuts. And then we know of when a grizzly bear gets really big and old and what do you call that? When you got rotten teeth, abscessed teeth, and he's got arthritis, he can barely move. And he's really big. He's over 1,000 pounds and he's getting cataracts. He can't see too good. Well, all of a sudden, like that Finnish photographer captured with the wolf and the grizzly bear living in that symbiotic relationship. I've heard that with Sasquatch as well, that I've had two reports of I guess, would you term it symbiotic relationship between a Sasquatch, old one that was frail looking, gaunt, whitish hair, wrinkled right up, and it was working not side by side like we do with a dog that is then we're the master of that dog, but this wolf and Sasquatch had been known to harvest together, work together.
Yeah, that would be very much symbiotic. Any other symbiotic relationships between wolves or coyotes and birds? Is there anything else that you might?
I just know the ravens suspect. And the wolves, because we don't have coyotes on Vancouver Island yet. I heard there was one seen there, but coyotes are just new. We do have wolves though, but it's so thick in the forest. You know, that's why I tell people don't investigate in the forest. Get out of the yarn basket, the steel wool pile of North America. Yeah. Go out into the beaches, the lake shores, river shores.
Go on the edges. And go on the edges. The edges.
Yeah, because just Roger Patterson and Bob Gimlin were the only ones that really came up spades with good video of a Sasquatch under the canopy. But then again, they were in the open area, river area.
What is there a certain time of year they give birth, or could it be any time of year?
I don't know. I really don't know. I've seen a pregnant female in on a Fleur Scout 2 at 100 yards, roughly under 100 yards, in Macy, Nebraska, Omaha Indian Reserve, when I was there the second time. But she was pregnant, and that was in, when did I go there? August, and she looked like she was ready to pup. So good weather, a lot of food. There's going to be a lot of food for milk production leading up until end of October. With all the farms and that, so, and deer year-round wintertime. So yeah, I think it's like you got to go back once again, back to nature's code. When's the best time for humans to have babies? But then again, if you look at us humans, the dumbest critter on the planet, you know, we'll fornicate just for the fact of fornicating for fun. And you know, next thing you know, our females are pupping 12 months of the year. You know, that's not wise. You know, where other animals have it geared to the seasons of harvest and the best time to pup.
So how old do you think a Sasquatch can live, Thomas?
150 years plus.
Whoa.
That's what I hear from the native tribes.
That's
you got to remember, according to the Omaha word for Sasquatch is Sitonga, keepers of the medicine. We know that every tribe pretty much that I've talked with in North America, you know, I've probably talked to well over 150 different tribes, members of it. And when I asked the question, did your shaman back in the day disappear for months on end, sometimes years, and go learn about the medicines and come back and fix the tribe members? Yeah, I heard stories about that. Yeah, well, they were going out there and doing the Diane Fossey, Jane Goodall, having their interaction with the Sasquatches and learning the medicines and medicinal plants and remedies, because as the Omaha name, Sitonga, keeper of the medicine. So if you do Google that, or not, if you go to YouTube and you look for Sasquatch of the Squamish Nation, which is Squamish, Squamish, I think it's Squamish tribe anyway, is from just north of Vancouver, British Columbia. And there's a really good YouTube video of one of their tribe members talking about how their shamans were interacting with Sasquatches. And I've heard it from numerous tribes as well. So yeah, it's and so if they're good with medicine, look at us as human. What was life expectancy 100 years ago for our species? You know, it was probably 52, I believe it was 100 years ago, where now I believe it's going up. You know, it's like 78 or something. So because we know medicines and we have great Medicare, and in Canada anyway, but you know, that shows you that if Sasquatch, Sitonga, keeper of the medicine, knows so much about, you know, they've probably forgotten more about traditional remedies in the forest, naturally produced, than we'll ever know, you know. So Sasquatches probably already have a cure for cancer and things that take most of our people already, you know, heart attack. You know, me, I got, you know, bad arteries from, you know, poor diet and heart disease and that, and I got diabetes. You know, but I'm sure Sasquatch doesn't have it because they don't eat sugar the way I do,
right.
And Big Macs and drive-thrus.
Yeah, I hear you there.
I hear you at the Big Mac. I hear you loud and clear.
So, what about size? What do you think the biggest size and what's the biggest one that you've encountered or heard about?
Yeah, like you guys, I've heard of the 14 footers to 22 footers.
The 22 footers. No.
My leg gets sore on those ones. Someone's pulling it. I think, and we did a lot of studying, me and Dr. John Bindernagel, on this exact subject back when he was alive. But when you look at the calorie intake of a grizzly bear and how big a grizzly bear gets based upon the seasonal proteins that it's able to harvest in abundance in coastal British Columbia. So we're looking at about 1,000 to 1,200 pounds is a really big grizzly bear. And it needs a calorie intake of about 8,500 plus calories per day, and minimum 8,500 calories. So when you use that formula, like Dr. John Bindernagel did, because he was a biologist, ecologist, and I was this dumb Injun, and he was educating me. But I'm just kidding. I was a great friend of mine, but he taught me. He said, Tom, look at this, run these formulas. And he goes, I'm in agreement with you. I don't think we can see a Sasquatch getting bigger than 10 feet. 10 feet is big. If we look at our door at 7'6" roughly, and add another 2.5 feet onto that, that's a big Sasquatch. And then I go, yeah, and anything over 9 feet, 9.5 feet, I don't care how stealthy you are, you're going to be leaving some pretty big tracks, and you're going to be breaking the forest duff if you keep using a trail that you're not going to be able to stay hidden. And that big, the bigger you are, the easier you are to see, But then again, you look at the elephants in the Congo. I've talked to hunting guides or clients of mine when I was a hunting guide for grizzly bears that were in the Congo hunting elephants. And they said, Tom, they could be 5 feet away from you and you wouldn't know it. A big old elephant in the jungle.
5 feet,
and
that's it.
Yeah. So it's, like I keep saying, you got to really look at everything that's out there and study it, whether it be hunting guide stories like Clayton Mack, Grizzly Bears and White Guys. No offense, but that's the title of the book. It's about Bella Coola and has some inserts about Sasquatch in there. And then you read the anthropological reports from people who studied the different native tribes, especially the ones from your region of Sasquatch investigating you want to do. You correlate all that into you being an investigator, and it's going to increase your chances of seeing them. I've seen them probably well over a dozen times, and
that's amazing.
Pretty close.
What about the smells? I've smelled this horrid smell, but it was like projected. It was put out, and then it went away. Have you ever experienced any smells? Do you have any theories?
Oh, absolutely. When the first time I ever saw Sasquatch, I saw a big male and female with my girlfriend and 2 crewmen off my commercial fish boat, documented in Sasquatch, North America's Undiscovered Great Ape, Dr. John Bindernagel's first book. But anyway, in the early 90s, when we had this encounter, we turned the spotlight on, saw them and everything. But when we first heard them, because you heard that big bang hitting the side of my trailer up on the beach with a 10x10 edition, and we saw 2 big shadows go in front of it. But all of a sudden, wow, it's yachbala, in my language, big stink. And it was like, oh, and what it reminded me of is when you're in the city and that human street person pushing a shopping cart, and you can see how filthy they are. And all of a sudden you're like, oh no, I went and breathed in. And you smell that foul stink body odor. Well, that's what a Sasquatch smells like in my area, but multiply that by 20 or 30. And now you got the smell of a Sasquatch compared to that human street person.
Well, let's back up. So you think they just smell?
No,
what?
That's what I was getting to.
Okay.
I guess after you've been on a commercial fish boat for a week, you're like, oh, geez, I smell myself. So we have natural secretion of scent in our armpits.
Yeah.
Well, we're losing it like we're losing our baby toe. But back in the day, why did we have scents out of our armpits? But Sasquatch still has it, and skunks do too. So apparently, I don't know, don't take this chiseled in stone, but I heard some primates can expel from their armpit glands or something, a stink. I don't know which one. I just remember hearing something about that or reading about it. But we do know Sasquatches, when threatened, can expel. And that's more than likely where it's coming from, because we don't know, because we don't have a body to study. But I'm sure when we do finally get a body, we're going to say, hey, look at that. They got well-developed scent glands in their armpits, like our ancestors had as relic humans back in the day.
So sorry to interrupt you guys. Just checking in on how everyone is for time. We've got Joe is in the back room. It's about 8:45 p.m. Do you have somewhere you have to go, Thomas, or can you stick around?
I can stick around for a bit if you want me to.
Sure. Yeah. Let's go ahead and bring Joe up quick. Hey, Joe.
Hello.
So
how are we doing, guys?
Are you as tired as I am?
I'm getting there, yeah.
So
hello, Tom.
Joe, you got what? 2 hours sleep. This is Joe Frischella, Thomas Sewid, and Joe lives in Minnesota here. He's a good friend. But me and Joe have had numerous Bigfoot experiences together, but we were going to talk a little bit about something really bad happened before Legend Meets Science was going to air on Discovery Channel, And that was, God, that goes back 23 years.
Oh, yeah.
Close to 23 years.
But we both remember it like it was yesterday.
Yes, and we still talk about it almost weekly.
Yep.
In fact, we were talking about it today, and I blame you, and you blame me.
Yep.
And we joke about it, we laugh about it, and it's not going to be resolved. And I swear to God, that book's going to show up. So tell them what happened.
Well, so right before Legend Meets Science was supposed to air, Doug, quote this, claims he gave me a bunch of documents that were part of the delivery of the program. And
it included release forms.
It included a bunch of release forms. And this is like a day before the program was supposed to air. And of course, I don't have any memory of getting them. So we both were like, well, I gave them to you. And I'm like, well, I never got them. And so we ended up having to call and get all these release forms signed right before the show aired. I mean, literally right before the show aired. And it was, talk about a stressful moment.
Oh my God, yeah, because they wouldn't air the show.
Exactly. They have, you have to deliver certain documents, and this was a key part of that. So
yeah, well, I gave them to you, Joe.
Yeah, I know you think you did.
I gave them to you. But the weird thing is, it was a thick 3-ring binder.
Yeah, it wasn't just like a couple papers, no. So don't we have this theory that all the things that we've lost over time is going to show up in the special place?
Yeah, something like that. Something like that. Yeah. I just think it's funny. I think it's funny in that the fact that we're still arguing about it 23 years later.
The backstories of some of the.
You ever do that, Thomas? Argue with somebody about something stupid that happened?
Oh yeah,
tons of years ago. Yeah, we do it in fun, you know.
Yeah.
But I think there was a day or two it was kind of serious.
That day particularly was very serious. It was all about taking care of business.
Oh my God, we put our heart and soul into this program.
Yep.
And everything was good. And I remember handing this booklet to Joe going, don't lose this. Get this in a safe spot. And he has no memory of it. I'm like, oh my God.
It was even the opposite, kind of the opposite as far as that's concerned. I went to Doug and says, hey, Doug, you have those documents? He's like, well, I gave them to you. And we went back and forth, but we got it solved. But yeah, it's hilarious.
Correct me if
Go
I'm
ahead,
wrong,
Thomas.
but correct me if I'm wrong, but didn't you produce or have something to do with the Monster Quest series?
Yes, we did that too. Sure. Yeah.
Okay, my Sasquatch encounter was the one that was reenacted in Campbell River at the dock off that white yacht with the blonde girl, JoJo, was my girlfriend back in the 90s when that took place. I was in Mexico with my other newer girlfriend at the time, so I couldn't make it to the filming of that recreation of my Sasquatch encounter.
Very cool.
Yeah.
But anyway, it's been nice meeting you guys, but I got to run. I just got a note showing to me.
Yeah, I know you got some, you're going to do a lecture on salmon or?
Yeah, and I better run to it right now.
All right. Thank you so much, Thomas, for coming on.
Thanks for coming on.
Thank you very much.
The conversation can go on forever. Good luck tonight.
Okay, will do. Thank you very much. Talk to you later.
Talk to you later. Bye.
Yeah, and it's just funny. I tell that story, and I know nobody ever got mad at each other, but it was just this bizarre feeling of like, am I going crazy? Are you crazy? Laughing about it. The fact that we have never found that book.
No, it's never showed up.
That's so weird.
The recreation did, because we had to recreate everything, but I mean, not almost everything. Key documents anyways.
So when you produce a program for TV, some of the deliverables are location releases, personal appearance releases. There's a whole bunch of other things, but man, we just lost it all. Every damn piece of paper on Legend Meets Science.
Yep, and we recreated it all. We got it all in the can.
Yeah. Joe went on one particular shoot. We were flying to New York, and we were there to film George Schaller. as I remember, and Esteban Sarmiento at the American Museum of Natural History.
Yep, I remember meeting him.
And we left Minneapolis with our camera guy who had just got back from filming avalanches. And in avalanche filming, you use explosives. Right?
Oh, no.
So, of course, all of our equipment was covered with explosives.
Oh, of course.
And this happened, we were flying there right after 911.
Oh, no.
And so, Joe, I think you remember this story better than I do, but man, it was nuts. Go ahead.
Well, I'm going to be probably paraphrasing some here, but I do remember that we were all three going through the usual luggage check.
Yeah.
And you probably realized at that time, I don't think I realized what Steve had with him because he was going from one shoot to doing yours, I think. And this TSA agent unpacked this, basically this round ball, and Steve.
Well, it had tons of layers of gaff tape, or like not gaff tape, some kind of tape on it.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, so it wasn't like a perfectly round ball.
But here's what was funny: there was a timer inside.
Yes.
Because what you would do if you're going to film an avalanche, you put a film camera that runs real film, and you put an egg timer in there, and the egg timer goes off so you can get away from the avalanche or get away from the area, set the explosives off, and then there's a timer, so this thing is coming towards the camera, the avalanche.
Yep.
And then all of a sudden the egg timer hits, the film starts rolling, so you don't waste a lot of film.
And then he goes and retrieves it. Yep. Yeah. There's a beacon. He goes and retrieves it.
But could you imagine this TSA guy getting this package wrapped in tons of layers of tape, X-rays, goes through, it's got a timer on it, and then it scans well for gunpowder or explosives.
Yeah. And of course, it was completely innocent on our end. We put there was no thought put into it.
But I think I said a few things to the camera guy.
Yeah.
Like, what were you thinking? Why didn't you unwrap all that before we left?
Yeah, it was very colorful.
And the guy was like shaking, trying to cut it open. And I'm thinking, well, that's not safe.
No.
If it was the item he thought it was, you certainly wouldn't try to dismantle it in front of everybody.
Right.
But he did.
It took some time. It held us up at the airport naturally.
I remember him. I think his hands were shaking pretty hard.
Oh God, it was actually a very scary moment for him because he didn't know us and he didn't know what he was dealing with.
So. But what the hell was he unwrapping it right in front of everybody?
Well, that's what we still talk about that to this day because what would have happened if it was for like live? So
it's crazy.
It's very crazy.
But then we get to New York, and I think right away somebody threw a bunch of crap at our truck.
Yep.
Because I think you had booked a hotel that was like in a really bad part of town.
Yep.
And you didn't know it was in a bad part of town.
No, it was
supposed
to be completely renovated that I remember.
Yeah, we get in that to pull up. And literally we had to burn rubber to get out of there because we were being attacked.
He said, "We're not staying here. We're going to go someplace else." And we found a different place.
We ended up going to the Marriott and.
Yep. Yeah, over in the Times Square area.
Times Square, yeah, that was crazy. And then our camera guy had he was a vegetarian or vegan, vegetarian.
Which I think was pretty new, at least to us back at that time.
Yeah, there wasn't many people that were vegetarians. I didn't even know what the hell it was.
So we were looking to go grab a normal bite someplace, and what did he want? He wanted carrot juice or something.
Carrot juice, grass juice, which is great.
Juice.
It's great, but it's kind of hard to find it. 1 a.m.
Right.
Yeah, you eat pizza at 1 a.m. Come on.
Yeah, exactly.
But
he did find one thing, and bless his heart, he found he could eat cheesecake.
He did.
And he'd eat like 5 pieces of these $10 a piece pieces of cheesecake.
Yeah, they were $10 a piece 20 years ago, 23 years ago or whatever. Yeah, exactly.
Oh my God. Where are you, Alex? You there?
Yeah, I'm there.
Oh, well, put the cameras on poor Joe. You got him under the
spotlight.
Under the hot light.
No, some very, very colorful backstories on a lot of those projects. It's been a lot of fun, and you just never know what you're going to experience from one project to the next.
And I filmed the first Legend Meets Science. Do you remember we filmed it in film?
It was true film, yes.
With a film camera and a Stellavox recorder.
Yep.
Very expensive. And of course, you never know if you actually got the shots until you got home, because they had to, put the negative in the soup, in the chemical soup.
Yep.
And I remember talking to the guy, like getting a call, and I'd say, "Is everything okay?" He'd go, "Yeah, it's fine. It's good. Yeah, it's good. Yeah, everything's good."
I remember that house that did that work. Yep.
Yeah, so you couldn't sleep at night thinking, "Oh my God, we just worked 5 days. Never saw a shot. You couldn't see anything.
Couldn't review anything. No,
nothing." And then, then it was during heightened security. And of course, we were paranoid about getting the film x-rayed because nobody really knew whether it would turn your film green or your negative green.
Yep.
So we had that to worry about. Oh my God. It was just like, that was nerve-wracking. So we're about to go down that slide again.
Yep. Congratulations, by the way.
Well, it's
yes.
Congratulations
we
to
did
the
it.
people that funded it.
Thank you, everybody.
But but I just don't know what adventures await us. There will be adventures.
There's definitely some untold adventures that will happen.
Untold.
Untold.
I had to say it.
I see what you did there, Joe.
Yeah, it's pretty funny. So I don't know. But if anybody has any, I don't even know if anybody's here. If anybody has any questions right now about Legend Meets Science, there were some people that missed out. They either didn't know about it, or they couldn't get their credit card to work, whatever. There's reasons and things. But I believe they're going to start a GoFundMe that people can still donate to. Because you have to remember, we set the goal at the very bare minimum. We did not set the goal, oh my God, we have that. No, I mean, this film needs 300 to 400,000 to be done even slightly right, But we do have enough now to really get going, hit it hard. I can be very, very creative in cutting expenses. Sleep 8 guys to a room in a hotel. That's one of them. You wake up and some guy is scratching his butt in his underwear. That's always fun. There's always those kinds of things that can be done and will be done. And, driving instead of flying, really sleeping in the car. I mean, there's a lot of things we can do and be very creative. And we are going to be, and we're going to have to be. But I'm not going to do a film that doesn't look beautiful. It's not going to happen because, my reputation's on the line. I'm getting old. I don't want to produce any crap at this stage of my life. Too experienced and know how to do it right. We will do it right.
Yeah, you've never been like that.
No, I'm not going to cut corners. And I think the GoFundMe is to, still get people involved if they still want to do it, but there's no time. Is there a time? There's no time limit. Is there, Alex?
The way we're going to set it up is to try to do it to where we'll look at what you think it'll be released at. We'll treat it like a pre-order. So, the more support we can get, the better. You can do a better production. You can, pay people more. We can get more research done, more tests.
Yeah.
But the idea is we'll get that up as soon as humanly possible, hopefully within a day or two, and have that up, and then people can continue to donate.
New people.
Yeah.
Because anybody that's already donated is getting those rewards, getting those credits and those types of things. So, but Legend Meets Science 1. How long do you think that really took us to get paid off, Joe? Because we did get some of the budget from Discovery, but you only get half.
Yeah, right. And I think your estimate that you said a week or two back, where you were pretty close to breaking even at that point, I think you're pretty close.
Yeah.
I think that was a pretty good number. I don't think it was just within the last year or two. that it was recently even. So
okay, so that took 20 years for Legend Meets Science to break even.
I think that's a fair estimate. Yeah.
Okay. I would hope that would shock some people. So it's not a get rich quick. We're not doing this for the money.
No.
When I did Monster Quest, I was paid, and that was a little different thing. It was a full commissioned project. But Legend Meets Science, I did as a what they call a co-pro, where the network funds half, and then I had to put half the money up. And so it was the other half actually went beyond over the half. And,
Right.
Money just trickles in. You don't really ever get it paid off. And I know it took forever. I remember asking our accountant, when's this ever going to get paid off? She'd always say, soon. It's like 15 years ago. You're like, oh, okay.
Yeah.
Or 15 years into it.
Right.
So, yeah. But people have to know, this is not, we're not filming this with some little handheld cameras,
No, you're doing this for the science and to get, get a broader group of people exposed to the topic.
No, but I'm talking about the quality of the film too.
Yeah.
They
for
really have a
sure.
lot of science, and those tests they cost money, quite a bit of money. Costs have come down. They do cost money. Airlines are horrifically big. I'm going to have to fly people in some cases. Like in June, we're planning on bringing everybody to Minneapolis, the scientists, the people with the equipment, because this test is not being done out in the forest. It's kind of a lab setting. Some of it needs to be done outside. And so it's much cheaper for me to fly one gentleman in from, North Carolina than for us to fly a crew to him.
Yeah, it makes total sense.
And then we don't have the gear over, because they just charge the heck out of gear overcharges. And like I said, we're using big 4K, Red Dragon cameras, track systems, beautiful jib systems. This is basically the amount of equipment you would use to do a feature film, like a real modern day feature film. So when we do have some cool conclusions and cool scenery and cool interviews and things, it's going to look really nice. So we're hoping that this doc will be good for the next 20 years. It'll be the best one. It's kind of the goal.
Yeah, I have no doubt.
Yeah. So with that said, I think we're going to sign off here, but thanks, Joe, for coming on.
Oh, you bet. Anytime, guys.
And
Thanks, Joe.
you better find that book. I still know it's going to turn up. I know you lost it. I did not lose it. I gave it to you. And I swear to God, Alex or Blaine or somebody's just going to go, here, I found it.
Yep, they're going to find it.
I told you to go for Shella.
I can tell you nobody discarded it.
But don't we have money on it?
Pardon me?
We have money on that book getting found.
Oh, sure. Yeah.
Who's going to find whatever?
I'm sure it's at your house.
Yeah. No, it's not.
I'm sure it's at your office.
No. And the book, by the way, was a beautiful book. It had a beautiful picture. Yeah, there's no way anybody would ever throw it away. It wasn't like a plain white ring binder. It was thick. It was heavy. One of those good 3-inch thick ones. So, yeah, it's good. Alex is going to find it. I know he is.
He will.
Because he's in your old office.
I'm going to hunt it down.
That thing down. You're going to get it, Joe.
Yep, that's where it's at, Alex.
Thanks, everybody.
Thanks.
Anybody
Thanks,
listening to this, thanks so much for helping and funding it. And we will see everybody next week. And God bless.
Have a
God
great
bless
night, everybody.
everyone.
See you, Joe. Bye.
Thank you.
Love you guys. Bye.
I call you up in the middle of the night, been bothered by dreams, ain't feeling alright. You give me comfort, say just give it some time. By the end of our talk, I'm feeling just fine. You and I will always know where we belong. This ain't no ordinary love we got going on. I'll pick you up in my 59 Ford. We head on down the road until we get bored. Just you and me and the sun and the wind. If the rain should stop falling, we'll head on should be in doubt, and I pray they never can pull us apart. And